There are places in the world where distance is the point. Distance from conflict, from instability, from the forces that sweep through nations and reshape them without warning. Some wealth seeks growth, some seeks excitement, but other wealth, often the oldest and most patient, seeks something simpler. It seeks to be left alone. This is not indifference. It is not detachment from the world or its concerns. It is a recognition that preservation requires space. That continuity requires shelter from the storms that periodically consume everything around them. There is a city that has understood this for a very long time. Geneva. It sits at the western edge of Switzerland, where the Rhone flows out of the lake that shares the city's name. The Alps rise in the distance. France lies just across the border, close enough to see. It is a small city, quiet, orderly, the kind of place where things move at a measured pace and have for centuries. But within this small, quiet city, an enormous amount of wealth is held, managed, protected, not traded aggressively, not deployed in pursuit of spectacular returns, not gambled on the next opportunity, simply held carefully, patiently, across generations. This is what Geneva does, and it does it better than almost anywhere else on Earth. The reason is not complicated. It is not a secret formula or a clever innovation. The reason is neutrality. Switzerland has not fought a war in over 500 years. It has not been invaded. It has not been occupied. It has not been drawn into the conflicts that have reshaped Europe again and again. While empires rose and fell, while borders were redrawn by force, while nations collapsed and were rebuilt from the ashes, Switzerland remained neutral, stable, unchanged in its fundamental character. This is not an accident. It is a choice, a policy maintained across centuries with remarkable consistency. And this choice has consequences, consequences that extend far beyond politics and diplomacy, consequences that shape how money moves and where it rests. Because capital, like water, seeks its own level. It flows towards safety, towards stability, toward places where the rules do not change overnight and where the ground does not shift beneath your feet. Geneva offers this, it has offered this for generations. And the wealth that has accumulated here reflects that offering. When a family has built something over decades, over generations, their concerns are different from someone seeking quick returns. They are not asking how to multiply their wealth rapidly. They are asking how to preserve it, how to protect it from the forces that have destroyed so many fortunes throughout history. War, revolution, political upheaval, confiscation, inflation that erodes value to nothing, governments that change the rules to serve their own purposes. These are not abstract concerns. They are the lived experience of countless families across centuries. Fortunes that seemed permanent, wiped away in a matter of years or months or days. Against this history, neutrality becomes something more than a political stance. It becomes a financial advantage. Geneva sits outside the conflicts, outside the alliances that drag nations into wars they did not choose, outside the political currents that reshape economies according to ideology rather than stability. This distance is valuable. It cannot be manufactured quickly. It cannot be claimed without evidence. It must be demonstrated over and over across decades and centuries. And Switzerland has demonstrated it. Geneva has demonstrated it. The wealth that comes here often comes from far away, from families and regions where stability cannot be assumed, where governments change through force, where property rights exist only until someone powerful decides they do not. For these families, Geneva represents something essential, not opportunity, not growth, but safety. The assurance that what they have built will still be there tomorrow and next year and in the next generation. This is not a small thing. For those who have seen fortunes disappear, who carry the memory of loss within their families, this assurance is worth more than any promise of returns. The institutions here have been built around this need. The banks are old. Some have existed for centuries. They have survived everything that history has thrown at them. World wars, financial crises, the complete transformation of the global economy. And they remain functioning, stable, doing the same work they have always done. This continuity matters. It is evidence, proof that the system works, that the promises made will be kept. When an institution has survived for 200 years, it carries within it something that newer institutions cannot claim, a track record that extends beyond any individual memory, a demonstration of resilience that cannot be faked. The people who work in Geneva's financial institutions understand this. They carry themselves with a particular kind of restraint. They do not boast. They do not promote. They do not make grand promises or dramatic claims. They simply do their work, carefully, precisely, with attention to details that might seem excessive to those accustomed to faster-moving environments. But the details matter here. Errors are not acceptable, not because of punishment, but because the entire value of this place rests on reliability, on the assurance that things will be done correctly, every time, without exception. This creates a culture of discretion. What happens here stays here, not because of secrecy for its own sake, but because discretion is part of the service, part of what clients expect, part of what they are paying for. Wealth, especially old wealth, does not seek attention. It does not want to be noticed. It wants to exist quietly, to be preserved quietly, to be passed on quietly. Geneva understands this. The city itself seems to understand it. There is no flash here, no ostentation, no visible display of the enormous wealth that moves through these streets. Just quiet competence, measured professionalism, the sense that serious work is being done by serious people who have no need to advertise their seriousness. The connection between diplomacy and finance here is not coincidental. Geneva hosts international organizations. The United Nations has a major presence here. Diplomatic negotiations happen here. Treaties are signed here. Conflicts are mediated here. This is part of the same logic. The same neutrality that makes Geneva safe for capital also makes it safe for diplomacy. Both require distance from the conflicts themselves. Both require a place where opposing parties can meet without advantage to either side. The city has positioned itself as this neutral ground for nations, for families, for wealth that seeks shelter from the instabilities that characterize so much of the world. There is a patience here that outsiders sometimes find difficult to understand. Decisions are not made quickly. Relationships are not formed quickly. Trust is not given quickly. Everything takes time, more time than those accustomed to faster environments might expect, more time than seems necessary. But this slowness is intentional. It is part of the selection process. Those who cannot wait, who need immediate results, who are uncomfortable with measured deliberation, will look elsewhere, and that is fine. That is the point. Geneva is not for everyone. It is not trying to be for everyone. It is trying to serve a particular kind of client with particular kinds of needs. And serving those needs requires patience. The families that bank here often have relationships spanning generations. A grandfather opened the account. A father maintained it. A grandson continues the relationship with the same institution, sometimes with the descendants of the same bankers. This continuity is rare in modern finance. It requires stability on both sides. Clients who think in generations rather than quarters. Institutions capable of maintaining relationships across the span of human lifetimes. Geneva has both, and the combination creates something that cannot be easily replicated. The physical city reflects something of this character. It is clean, orderly, well maintained without being ostentatious. The streets are calm. The pace is measured. There is wealth here, enormous wealth, but it does not announce itself. The buildings are solid, built to last, not fashionable, not trying to impress with novelty, just well constructed and properly maintained. The lake dominates the geography. The famous fountain rises from its waters. The mountains are visible on clear days, a reminder of the natural barriers that have helped protect this place for so long. There is a sense of permanence here, a feeling that this city will remain much as it is long after the current generation has passed, that the institutions will continue, that the work will go on. This feeling is part of what clients are buying, not just the services themselves, but the assurance of continuity. The belief that this place will still be here, still functioning, still protecting what has been entrusted to it. The regulatory environment supports this. Rules are clear, they are enforced consistently, they do not change dramatically based on political shifts. This predictability is valuable. It allows planning across long time horizons. It reduces the uncertainty that makes preservation so difficult in less stable environments. Clients know what to expect. They know what is permitted and what is not. They know how disputes will be resolved. They know that the framework will hold. This is not excitement. It is not innovation. It is not the thrill of new possibilities. It is structure, order, the quiet confidence that comes from systems that work the same way today as they did yesterday and will work the same way tomorrow. For patient capital, this is enough. This is more than enough. The families that have preserved wealth across centuries did not do so by chasing excitement. They did so by avoiding unnecessary risks, by choosing stability over speculation, by placing their assets in environments designed for preservation rather than growth. Geneva serves this orientation. It does not try to convert patients into speculators. It does not promise extraordinary returns. It does not suggest that safety is boring and risk is exciting. It simply offers what it has always offered: distance from conflict, stability across time, discretion in all things, the assurance that what is entrusted here will be protected. This is a modest promise in some ways. It lacks the drama of fortunes made overnight. It lacks the excitement of bold bets paying off spectacularly. But it is a promise that has been kept for generations. Through world wars and financial crises and the complete transformation of the global economy. The wealth that was placed here 50 years ago is still here. The wealth that was placed here 100 years ago is still here. Protected, preserved, passed from generation to generation. This record speaks more loudly than any promise. The morning mist rises off the lake. The city wakes slowly, quietly. People make their way to offices where the work is serious but never frantic. The same work that was done yesterday, the same work that will be done tomorrow. Accounts are maintained, assets are held, instructions are executed precisely, relationships are continued. None of it remarkable, all of it necessary. Somewhere, a family that has banked here for generations makes a decision about the next generation. How to structure the inheritance, how to maintain the continuity, how to ensure that what was built will endure. They consult with advisors whose fathers advised their fathers. They consider frameworks that have existed for decades. They make decisions designed to outlast their own lifetimes. This is the work that happens here. Quiet work, patient work, work measured in generations rather than quarters. The lake reflects the mountains, the fountain rises and falls, the city continues. Neutral, stable, unchanged in its fundamental purpose. Wealth rests here, protected from the storms that rage beyond the borders, not growing dramatically, not shrinking, simply enduring as it has, as it will. The system continues, quietly, without needing anyone to notice. It does not seek attention. It just works.